City of Sydney Special Council meeting, October 6th at noon. Call to order. Join me for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome you all to this special council. The Open Meetings Act is over there on the west wall. And now we're on to potential formation of Economic Development Corporation. Essentially, we're here to see about other avenues we can go for the economic development. So who wants to start?
You guys go ahead. I just wanted to provide a brief overview on there. So I did break this down in kind of agenda items on here and to give everyone just a little bit of history of why we're here today. So on August 26th of 2025, City Council meeting entered closed session to discuss the economic development personnel position. Following that discussion, the council voted to hold a public workshop on the matter. During the September 9th, 2025 meeting, council identified two potential dates in October to be held for the workshops with the interested entities, that one being today, October 6th at 12. After coordinating with all the entities involved, we were able to successfully set up this workshop. And a little bit of background with the economic development role and how it's been the last 5 years. One of the ongoing challenges that the city has faced in managing economic development is the staffing stability. So over the last 5 years, the position has seen 4 different directors with vacancies lasting up to 1 year. These frequent transitions have disrupted continuity and long-term planning efforts. This upcoming workshop today is just going to present a valuable opportunity for the city to evaluate the most effective and sustainable structure for driving economic development in Sydney and Cheyenne County. This includes consideration of establishing an economic development corporation, continuing with the city-led model, or exploring hybrid and partnership opportunities. So one thing I did want to stress that today is that just a workshop. There will be no decisions that are being made today. This is an opportunity for the public to hear out the proposal from E3. I did want to provide any other opportunities for any other entities or individuals as well that are interested in an economic development corporation or a different partnership structure with the city to be able to voice that opinion as well. So how we have today's workshop kind of structured out is we're going to start with stakeholder presentations. So E3 has submitted interest in the potential of an economic development corporation moving forward. So we'll give them the time to do that presentation. If there are other entities, once that presentation has concluded, that would be interested in taking over economic development or expanded partnership with the city, I would like to invite those entities to come forward and make that proposal as well. After the proposals are completed by any of the stakeholders that are showing interest, I do want to have the opportunity for City Council and our other elected officials, any of our Cheyenne County commissioners, to be able to ask the initial questions and kind of identify some pros and cons based off of those presentations. Once that's concluded and our elected officials have the opportunity to have those conversations, then it will be an open forum for the public. And I do ask that when we do ask questions and we're having conversations, that we keep it very constructive. We try to, remove any bias from the conversation and just really ask some good questions for these entities so that we can keep things moving forward. We can stay productive with it, and then we can hopefully end this meeting where everyone still has time to go to lunch. So I appreciate everyone's time and patience, and we can go ahead and kick it off with E3.
Okay.
Can I hop in here real quick?
Oh, sorry, Sam.
I know there's a lot of us around here right now, but who's ever been parking or whoever is parking by the front of the fire department stuff needs to get it moved. Okay? So getting some text messages from the fire department. Otherwise, I have guys coming over to take care of it for us, and I don't want anybody to have a ticket or a car be gone when they leave this meeting. Particularly a blue Chevy.
Not to put you on the spot.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Sinnott. I'm acting president of our E3 chapter.
And Corey Keene, also on E3.
We call him our vice president, but he doesn't claim it. Before we jump into the proposal, is it okay if I address the whole room?
Yeah, go for it. Please.
So I know there's a lot of people here today, and I know there's a lot of passion behind today. I'm glad everybody's here, and I welcome other opinions that are not our own. This is how democracy should be working, is everyone is involved. We created a proposal that we thought was best at the time, but we're not the experts on everything, and we welcome respectful, constructive feedback on anything here today. And so this is a starting point. It was never meant to be an end point. I've stated several times, that's why most have already seen the proposal, is because we sent it out right away in full transparency. It was meant to be a starting point. And so if there's issues with it, that's fine, and I welcome that. But let's talk about it and come to consensus instead of arguing today. I don't think any one of us wants more arguing or disagreement. We can disagree and still be respectful. So that's where we just wanted to start today. Okay. All right. A little bit of background. I don't know. We've talked about E3 for the past couple of years. Just a little bit of history in case people don't know exactly what E3 is. It started as a pilot program through the Nebraska Community Foundation. It stands for Energizing Entrepreneurial Ecosystems. Part of that program, what we had to do is we had to travel to several different organizations within Nebraska and learn best practices from them to how to improve their economy. And one of the things, we went everywhere from Valley County Ord. They're kind of one of the secret sauces of Nebraska economic development. We've gone to McCook, Red Cloud, Valley County, I already said, Keith County, Holt County as well. And one thing everyone told us there is the secret to their success has been creating an economic development corporation. And so that's where this idea really sparked for us. Personally, I've always been interested in that because we have two disparate groups. We have city economic development, we had us, we had the chamber. Sometimes we're moving in different directions and not always aligned, and this would bring us all together to be moving in the best direction for Cheyenne County. If we don't agree this is the direction we want to go in the future, I know we're not making decisions today, that's okay. We're not gonna be mad at you, we're not gonna be mad at anyone in this room, especially if you're a small business owner. I wanna make it very loud and clear. Please come see us for help. We are not gonna discriminate against anyone because of the opinions that you have today. And so if we can still continue to move forward as we are now, if this doesn't go through today, and that's okay. It has been a documented best practice. It's in 129 different communities within Nebraska. And so this isn't something new. It's not novel. It's been a documented best practice that works in combination with the city and county and still has oversight. Let's see, just a little bit more background on E3 before we jump into the proposal. We started, I believe, in 21, 22. What we heard is a lot of people needed a one-stop shop kind of for business support. As we know, there were several vacancies still going on within economic development or the chamber. And so we hired our first position, which we called the Entrepreneurial Navigator, which is Alicia Juliffs from Potter. She does an excellent job for us. It's someone that you can show up to completely free of charge, completely confidential, and she will help you get, if you need help finding space, if you need help writing a business plan, if you need help finding a support network so you can do shipment share or something similar, Alicia is your confidential support for that. We had her enroll for about a year, and what we kept hearing is, I love my business, I want to apply for that bank loan, or I want to apply for grant funding, I hate writing. I don't want to do that. I'm really passionate about the business that I have. So then at that time, we received more funding, all philanthropic funding, no taxpayer funding, to hire our grant and technical writer, Melissa Norgard. And I think a lot of people have said, hands down, Melissa is one of the most skilled technical writers that they've ever worked with. And Melissa, specifically, what she has done in the past year since being enrolled, she has helped write 55 business plans for local business owners. If you know what that's like, you need that to apply for a bank loan. You need that to go for more funding. She has done that 100% free of charge. We've consulted with over 140 clients in Cheyenne County. This was just last year. That's not including everything this year. and aided business owners in applying for funding, achieving at least $500,000 to go back directly to those local businesses. That does not go to us, that does not go personally, that goes directly back to the business owner to either help with payroll or getting their business up to code or inventory. Any of those things directly go back to the business. It's not just about the money, it's not just about grants, it's also someone, their support network that's confidential, they can listen to, they can bounce ideas off of. And not one person has ever been turned away that has come to our office, 100% free of charge. So that's where all of this started. We want to expand that and continue to roll that out further. So when council approached us with potential for an economic development corporation, we have tried to do that several years in the past and it wasn't the right time. So we are all on board. Candidly, it would be easier for us to stay like we are now because we're not causing the chaos that we're causing today. But it's the right thing to do for the community. So we're willing to stand here and take the input and the feedback, even if it's what they didn't decide to do, because it's best to continue to move the community forward. So getting into the proposal, unless you have anything else to add.
One thing, can everybody hear okay? No, she's not speaking in the mic. Is everything good? Okay. One thing I would like to add is when she talks about visiting McCook and Red Cloud and Hope County, Key County, we didn't go there for a day. There were significant time investments put into that. It was not just myself and Sarah and some E3 leadership. It was many members in this room that are business owners and not even part of E3 that also went with us. And we went for an entire week to each county. So we got to spend time with local businesses in each county and each town and really understand some of the things that they're doing. And also the city government of each town, understand what they're doing to better their towns. So I just wanted to elaborate on that it wasn't like we drove down for a day, spent a couple hours and came back. It was a significant time investment.
And we still regularly consult with them now. I just called Caleb Pollard from Ord last week and asked how they run things, and continue to get feedback and advice. So it's not just they're our network that's been supporting us on best practices, and I'm sure they would talk to anyone in this room. If anyone wants their contact information, we're happy to share it. Okay, getting into the actual proposal. Again, this was the proposal, and I'll call out where we're probably already making revisions based on feedback that we've already received. So I won't read through line by line of this because I'm sure most people have it. If you don't have a copy of it, I'm happy to share it with anyone as well.
You can pull it up off their phone too, right?
They should be able to.
You should be able to pull it up on your phone too.
Or would people prefer
on
I read it
Facebook.
line by line? I can read it line by line if people prefer. Okay. Really, our goal is to strengthen the economic vitality by expanding access to quality jobs, support local businesses, entrepreneurs, and drive innovative strategies that enhance our region's appeal. We are, as part of this proposal, dissolving in our current capacity, and the reason for that is because the intention is this is not a power play by E3. We could come in with our existing leadership team that we already have and say we're just taking it over. And if you want us to do that, we can do that. But we're saying we're going to give up our money, which is over $600,000, and we're willing to give up our control over it to create this organization. And so to form an economic development corporation. And that would basically house 3 different roles, 2 of which we already have hired today, being the entrepreneurial navigator and the grant and technical writer, positions which already exist. And the goal would be to hire a 3rd position with an executive director. This would be the leadership position within the group that's out facing the community, seeing them day to day and what they're running. Both Alicia and Alicia have candidly stated, we like what we're doing now, we're not interested in that role. And so this would be a new hire for the organization to do that. We already have funding for Alicia and Melicia's positions. Sorry, there's too many SHs in there. So sometimes I just call them militia. So if you hear me say that's, I'll just do that for ease. We already have funding for their 2 roles and are working on making that develop into perpetuity. So all we're asking for assistance with is just for the executive director position. Technically, we could just go out and do this on our own, but we think it's best to have community input and feedback from the community into this without using taxpayer dollars. So what we're proposing here is the funding. We're asking for funding for 5 years from the city and the county to help fund the new organization. The current budget for economic development that was approved by the city this year is $202,000. We're asking to cut that in half, and the city commit $110,000 for the next year for 5 years. And that Cheyenne County, who's already contributing $25,000 to the city for economic development, we're asking them to continue that for the next 5 years. In addition to that, we'll commit $200,000 a year for 3 years. So our stake in the game is over $600,000, plus everything we've raised for our youth entrepreneurship competition, which we haven't had a chance to talk about, but that all of our funds would roll over. And then WNCC is already committed to giving us office space for at least 3 years free of charge. We have an excellent relationship with them, and we'll continue to do so. A couple of things I want to clarify on this ask. This is not all to go to salary for that executive director position. I've heard that a couple of times. We have never said that. This is to go to several things. Salary is part of it. Benefits are also part of it. Benefits can range anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 for an organization, depending on what plan they enroll in. We'll have to buy technology equipment. Corey needs to build us a new website so we can communicate with everything that we're doing. Office supplies, all of that goes into the $135,000. That is not salary. A bulk of it is, but not the whole entire amount. But I would like to call out this is half of what the city is currently budgeting for this right now. The end goal is in 5 years. The city taxpayers don't pay for this, period. We're committing that we will raise $3.5 million in the next 5 years to fund this into an endowment. And if you're not familiar with how endowments work, is basically you have enough money in the account that basically you're living off the interest of that account each year. So we will raise that philanthropically to be able to do that to fund this organization, so none of the taxpayers have to pay for it moving forward. With that being said, if it does become a completely philanthropic organization, that doesn't mean the city and the county and the community stakeholders don't have an input into this group. We serve the community. We serve our business owners. And if we ever stop listening to that, we're not doing our job. So we have nothing to hide here with the different things that we've put on here. We have suggested the new group would be comprised of the following individuals, but this is also up for review and revision as well. One representative would be appointed by the city council from the city of Sydney. One representative from our Legacy E3 team. Of what that is, we're saying legacy because we would dissolve and no longer exist. We will appoint one member. We recommend one financial representative appointed via an application process, one community business member at large, preferably from the city of Sydney, appointed via application, and one takeout advisory member. I don't know why I put that in there. It would be one member from Cheyenne County, appointed by the Cheyenne County Commissioners, but preferably a Cheyenne County business owner, not from Sydney. So we make sure we're reflecting the whole needs of the county. I put this in here, but I think we're all willing to revise this. These next two paragraphs I would like to address because I think we're open to revising both of those. We originally put, it's hard to get volunteers anywhere, so we said no term limits, but we're gonna relook at it every 2 years, and if somebody wants to step down, they can step down and be appointed at that time. We've, for the group to have a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer every year. And what we've heard from the community is that's a little worrisome, because that could mean it's the good old boys club and the same people controlling it every year. We are absolutely open to revisiting that if we need to revisit that to come to better agreement what it is. We were trying to be mindful of volunteers, but we're fine to revisit that. Additionally, what we put in here is the group is not required to adhere to the Public Meetings Act as their contracted service to the city and county. This is true. We don't have to adhere to this, but with that being said, even if we don't have to adhere to the Public Meetings Act, people are allowed to FOIA that information at any time for use of public funds, of where it's going and what it's going towards, even if we're not having to post in the newspaper every week when our meetings are being held. But even with that being said, the reason we wrote it this way is because that's how other services in Cheyenne County and Sydney are treated. Currently, the Chamber of Commerce, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, gets $25,000 a year for the city and doesn't adhere to the Open Meetings Act. Additionally, the community center, I believe, gets $125,000 a year and does not adhere to the Open Meetings Act. So we're modeling it after existing relationships with the city. But if that's going to be a point of contention, we have no issue adhering to that as well. We do plan regardless of every way we go. We'll post it online, in the paper, through the radio, on social media, so everyone is aware of meetings and our minutes. We have nothing to hide. Currently in this proposal, the Cheyenne County Chamber and the Cheyenne County Tourism are not part of this existing agreement and will remain on their own entities. Any decisions about the city or county partnership is not ours, and that will continue to be made by the City Council and the Cheyenne County Commissioners. And so that's it at the highest level of what it looks like. We do have a lot more detail of what it goes into. Probably the biggest one I want to address is LB 840. For everyone that's not well versed in LB 840, that is sales tax revenue that comes in, not all of it, but some of it, is earmarked for economic development within Cheyenne County. We will have no control over that as an economic development corporation. I don't know if legally we're allowed to. The only thing we're recommending changing is we're the intake point for those requests, so people know they can go to one place to put that in. We'll even help you write the application. And then that still goes to the Economic Development Advisory Committee, who brings it to council to approve. None of that will be influenced by us in any way besides passing off the application.
Could they forego talking to you?
If
they
they
wanted
weren't comfortable
to.
with us, I would ask Kendra if that's appropriate, but if they're uncomfortable, by all means. If there is an agreement going there. Let's see. Other things I wanted to call out specifically within here. Sorry, I'm reading. The only other thing I think we've been asked is what happens to the Historic Preservation Board. Historically, I know the city's economic development director sat on that and helped work with the group. I believe the city ordinance state that that should be ran by Marshall. And so we would just recommend that stays with Marshall, and we would be involved in it as coming to the meetings, but we would not have, the process would stay as is. So the biggest thing to say is the vast majority of the processes stay as is. We're just the intake point for that process, and we continue to expand it, getting bigger. Any other questions that I didn't address?
What do you think the salary would probably take in order to do it?
That's a
director
great
position?
question. I would say to get the right person into role, I would say anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 to get the talent you need for that type of role.
Is that benefits or is that straight salary?
That's straight salary before benefits. Correct.
Is there any EDCs out there in Nebraska that have somehow combined the chamber or tourism?
So yes, I would say they're different across all of them. So to say this is the playbook and this is exactly how you should do it, you're not going to find it. Valley County and Ord, I'll tell you, for example, they have economic development and their chamber all involved, combined into one entity. Others, they haven't actually, Valley County also has tourism rolling into that as well. So all those entities are combined. There's others, Keith County is just economic development. And so every community does it a little differently. I think it depends on the needs of your communities and what you're trying to achieve at that time.
Do you know if these other ones, because I believe 15 or 16 economic development corporations.
There's
roughly,
129.
129. How many of them were started with, say, taxpayers' funds?
Almost all.
Okay.
Actually, how Valley County and we would be the only organization that would be offering to do it philanthropically that I'm aware of. There might be one that I haven't found yet, but every other one is primarily funded by LB 840.
So you're telling me you guys are willing to give up
Yes,
the control
correct.
and not take taxpayers' money in so many years by the contract, what the contract says, right?
Correct.
But these other ones that are already in it are still, even 5, 10 years down the road, are still asking for taxpayers' money to
Oradan
help
Valley
fund them.
County has been operating for 20 to 25 years, and it's a written agreement that it is funded primarily by LB 840 sales tax.
Okay.
And every other community is similar. We understand that's not where our community is at, so we're willing to
Right.
raise that money to meet the community where they're at.
Questions?
And if community members have questions, once we come up here, we're happy to address those too if needed.
How much does it usually cost to have someone write up a business plan for you?
Do you guys know?
I mean, you can have it done for free through other entities throughout the state. I think the biggest pro of having somebody here and sitting in Cheyenne County is the one-on-one, I don't wanna call it mentorship, but like if somebody starts with us and we haven't heard from them for 2 weeks, then we usually give them a kind nudge, like, hey, do you need any help? You can go through Nebraska Business Development Center, they have an office in Scottsbluff, but it's a little bit more hands-off, where they say, here are the tools, now move forward and good luck.
So you said that you've helped 150 some odd businesses, or you've written 150 proposals, right?
55 business
50
plans, 140 clients.
140. How many of those are thriving today, or
Every
are
single one of
starting
them is still
to go
open.
up and going?
We got a few in here. I know Keith wanted to say something.
So it's not just. I mean, you could say. I can say that I sent 700 emails and that I reached 700 people, but how many of those went forward with it?
Well, and I'll be
What's your
candid,
percentage of
we've
it?
had people that have come to us and have done a business plan and decided not to open.
Right.
But in my opinion, that's a success because they didn't just invest their whole life savings. They did a realistic plan of, you know, this doesn't make sense financially, or it's not the right time. And they did that planning before they spent a dime. So I would say everyone there's some that have come to us and gone through the process and decided not to open, but I think that's a good outcome.
Opening a skateboard shop in Sydney is not a good idea.
Skateboard shop?
Yeah.
I'll tell my investors to cancel that. That was my next step.
Rollerblades.
Rollerblades.
I've got a question, it might be for Kendra. Is there any problem with the city committing funds for more than, for the 5 years that they're asking?
You know, I'm gonna look.
Would that have to be a yearly,
Like a
approval,
yearly,
like prop-
renewal? I don't think that there's, you know, a set and fast law that says, you know, you need to do it at this period of time. I think if, I were gonna be diligent about it, I would take it on like we do anything and have an annual renewal. You know, where they come forward and show us the progress, and then you evaluate it and see if this is good for the city or if it's not good for the city, and then you can renew it again for the next year.
And we would have no problem having a contract of, these are the expectations you have from us, and it's performance-based. If we don't perform, cut our funding. We have no problem with that. Any other questions before I let people out?
So on these other ones that us as taxpayers are paying, what say the excuse me, community center and the chamber, do you know if we have any say on who sits on those boards?
You do not. Not that I'm aware of. I believe
I
the
don't
city,
think we do.
I take that, I believe the city manager would historically go to some community center meetings, but I don't believe, unless Joe, does the city have any presence on the chamber that you're aware of?
They've been invited, but they never showed up. so.
Okay, I don't believe so.
So this would be the first one that
Correct.
we're actually, council has a say on who sits on that board.
Correct.
The city does not have a say on any of those boards.
Okay.
Was there a question back here someone had?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
So, we have an issue with transparency already here with local government.
Okay.
This is a letter dated April 1st from the Attorney General's office for FOIA, for the city of Sydney, failure to commit to the FOIA laws. And it took several requests for the Attorney General to get the city to comply with law. And this is a government entity. Now, I have a hard time understanding or believing or having faith in, and this is nothing against you folks personally, getting a private entity who does not fall under the purview of the Attorney General or or FOIA laws to comply. I couldn't get the government to comply. It took the Attorney General to twist the city manager's arm to get them to comply with basic FOIA laws. So that, you'll have to forgive me if I have a little bit of doubt there. You could write it 1,000 times in the contract. You're still not under the purview of the AG or the United States FOIA laws.
And that's fine, Eric, and I hear where you're coming from, but if I just heard what you said, it's still under a government entity and you're saying it's still not being fulfilled. What I'd rather you do is just call me and we'll give it to you.
I understand that, but when I have the ability to have the Attorney General who oversees local government and state government, that's what their job is to do, is to guide these guys to make sure that they're following the law, and gals to make sure that they're following the law. But it took a lot to get the government who falls under that. You wouldn't fall under that as a corporation. You never would. So it's really hard to understand if that could be, your feet to be held to the fire, so to speak.
Okay. I asked Kendra to speak on that probably more than anyone else. My understanding is if there's any use of taxpayer dollars, we would have to comply with any FOIA request regarding those taxpayer dollars. Is that accurate?
No, it's not completely accurate.
Okay. All right, please.
If we can show that the substantial part of the funding is coming from the government entity, then they would be required to comply under the Open Meetings Act and FOIA laws.
And they would also fall under FFATA, which is a federal law from 2006. But again, you're not a government entity, so we don't have the ability to.
But they are taking the government's money though.
But they're still not a government entity. If the AG said, hey, you need to comply, they can go, you're not in our jurisdiction.
If the substantial amount of their funds comes from the government, then they have to abide by the government rules.
Yep. It took a long time to get this to come to fruition, and that was a government entity. So how long, this took years to get resolved as a government entity. So this is a corporation. How long do we go? It's just, I think a lot of people agree, it's hard to have faith in that, no matter how many times you write it into the contract. That is a hard sell. And I don't dispute the work that you folks are trying to do, but you're up against a wall because of the economic conditions within this community. I think you're doing a lot of good work, and I want to clarify some things I made in the past, is I think you're doing good work, but you're up against the ocean because of the taxing policy, the fiscal policy, the spending policy. Sales tax collection is moving in the wrong direction.
I would agree.
Home sales are going up in the wrong direction. Vacant signs are going up in the wrong direction. And you also have to contend with the fact that the last 5 years, the way that the vetting was done for the economic development directors and many of the other positions within the city, I don't think those folks were given a fair chance to do their job because of the controlling management style that was there. So I think it's important that the city and council reconsider the vetting process, the hiring process, the interviewing process for these city positions so that these folks have a chance that we get. I know there's somebody in this community that's perfectly capable of doing these jobs. Many of them are in this room. But they need to be given a chance to go before an open interview process, go before a panel interview, and be given a shot at doing their job without massive control over it. And I think that's a part, we need to fix the internal problem within the city, the way that it's hired and the way that they're managed, rather than doing a nuclear option of going completely outside because we can't fix the process within the city. I know there's a lot of business owners in this room. Is it hard to hire people in this community? We're less than 3% unemployment. We're stealing from each other, employees, and it's driving wages up for the wrong reasons. When it's a struggle to hire, it's because the environment's wrong. I don't think it's necessarily, you've got a lot of issues to go before we need to go outside the city, and before we remove the control from the people. You're removing control by doing this. There's no doubt about it. It takes it away from the people. It puts it outside the city, and I don't think it necessarily needs to do it. Again, it doesn't discount the work you folks are doing. You have it in a place with a private entity outside of government. If there's folks within your organization who's completely qualified to be economic development director, then apply for the job.
I respect your comments, Eric, and I thank you for being candid. And first of all, anyone that owns a business in this room, I know some people might not want to say anything because you could be crucified in your sales if you say anything here. So the fact that people are willing to speak up, I think, is a big thing, and thank you for being respectful for your
Don't
with the
trust me,
comments.
I've had my trials.
But what I
Eric,
would say,
Hold on one second. Is there anything in the proposal you did like?
Well, there's too many non-starters at the beginning, Corey. The fact that it takes it out of the people, the fact that there's no metrics for performance. The biggest thing for me is what happens after 5 years? I think Councilman Radcliffe alluded to it. What happens after 5 years? Where does it go? I mean, what if you don't raise the money? What happens if the performance is not there? What do we do? I mean, there's a lot of things I think that need to be in there still. But again, the non-starter for me is it takes it out of the people's hands. You don't have accountability to us, no matter how many times you write it.
I think she answered it. They said.
He's hearing impaired, you have to
Yeah,
speak up.
I can't hear.
Sorry. I
Can
think
we
she-
go
I
and
believe
have
Do you
them
want me to
either
step
come
down?
up
Yes,
or-
please. Yeah.
I'll step
Well-
away.
Everybody wants to.
I welcome people to go to the
Nope, you're good.
I believe she answered it. She said, how about you put into it that it's performance-based?
Correct.
Ergo, they will relinquish the contract.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
any funding would be put down. All of them would be put out of the job.
And for the record, I don't get any money. Corey doesn't get any money. We have 2 staff. I spend more money on this
Cost me money.
organization that comes back to me, yes.
Yep.
And I think for me, it's not necessarily the money, it's what the doors that it opens. That's my concern. It opens doors that.
If anybody could speak on how,
I can add to FOIA.
Can
really
you-
quick.
Can you guys come up here?
I talk really loud. With FOIA, something to know is you're opening businesses, which is, private financial data for a private business. So there's only so much information that you can request by doing a FOIA request through a corporate or through a private entity. So depending on what type of metrics or what type of information you're trying to request from E3 would be kind of my interest, right? Like what exactly are you wanting them to report to you when some of it, like by law, they can't even through a FOIA request because they're not a government entity.
Well, to that point, you have to know the right question to ask to get the information you want. Because if you don't know the right question, you're not gonna get the information you need.
No, and I understand, I'm just
Actually,
asking
that's happening with the government as well.
what FOIA,
Come up here.
what would E3
Hey,
not
we need everybody to come up here, whoever's talking, yeah,
Cause that way they're not talking over each other.
yeah.
yeah.
I guess what I'm just asking is, what would you want E3 to provide? What metrics, what data do you want them to provide to the community so that way you feel like, and I'm a tax-paying citizen too. I have a very, very small business, 1 employee here. Like what data do you want them to report so that way FOIA doesn't have to be requested and that way it is transparent to us community members.
So what
right?
questions could you be asking for?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Like, are
because-
you asking for personal information on that company, who's running it, employees, names, whatnot? Or are you asking, is money from this company being given, taxpayer money being given to this? Am I correct?
I would say our only non-negotiable as an organization is we will not give out confidential client information. So these people come to us because they can trust they're not gonna lose their job because they're working with us. We're not gonna give their financials, what they're doing, anything else, but we'd be happy to hire, say, we've worked with 140 clients ranging from this to this and working on these things. But a non-starter for us would be giving out individual company information.
And I
Right.
think even the government has restrictions on that as well.
Right.
But
I would say if somebody's coming to your business and asking for $10,000 for a startup or something like that, and that money's coming from taxpayers' money, you should be obligated to say, we gave this money to this company for a startup. If they're coming in there asking for help, startup, no money given, it should be kept private.
Does everyone need to come?
Yes.
All right.
This is to you. So you're saying that you're hoping that within the 5 years that you're completely privately funded, correct? That takes away any concerns about taxpayer money and everything else. So I guess, I mean, it does. If they're completely privately funded, if it's privately
Can we
funded.
please
No,
allow
city
the
will still
people?
be.
Yeah. And if they're
Let's
privately
speak.
funded, everything that they do does not involve taxpayers. Anything that they propose still goes through the
Mike.
economic development.
Can you,
We have a question.
Please identify yourself.
Oh, Mike Brown, just a resident here in Sydney. So not speaking on behalf of any company or. So what I'm saying is if they are completely privately funded, that takes away your FOIA concerns. You don't need them if they're privately funded. It takes away any of your taxpayer funds. What do you need to know if it's privately funded?
If they are controlling anything that. has to do-
Dave, can we have you come up here?
Yeah.
Please.
Let me say something here, guys, and I have a little presentation for you too on this, because I approach this from a completely different perspective. We can argue the financials, which everybody is doing, and I have no doubt that you do good work, and you guys have the best interest of Sydney at heart. Everyone here does, okay? But our United States of America has had problems over the hundreds of years. We fought battles over it. And we have to, and when we had assurances that states' rights, people's rights are going to be protected, and they're not. We're arguing here right now, looking into a corporation. I have 2 corporations. You can't look into them. I have a private foundation, and I have a company. You guys can't look into them. And you are looking at this whole other thing. Okay, I have been to court hundreds of times in all different kinds of countries. What you're saying is, oh, well, we can write this law, we can write this into this contract to fix this problem, to fix this problem, to fix this problem. That's all court, and that's all time, and that's all money. Okay? And we have fought as a United States. I came here from Pennsylvania. And I'm going to tell you about that. I came here where we fought our Revolutionary War because we did not like paying taxes without representation. And basically what you're going to do with this is you're going to take our tax dollars, $135,000 of them a year, and fund a private corporation.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So 2 things, we would be a nonprofit, and
Right.
we would be audited by the Nebraska Community Foundation and our treasurer in a separate service each year, just so everyone knows what that looks like. But additionally, I would ask, it would change really nothing of how we currently operate today as E3.
Right.
Is there information you are not receiving from us today that you would like to see? Because it's no different than how we're currently operating.
Yeah, the second that you start spending money somewhere, I'm going to want to know. And I'm going to explain to you all why I FOIA. I FOIA all the time. I FOIA because I pay taxes. And that's my right. And people in America died for that right, for us to FOIA. My question to you is, right now, our government is set up by the people. What you're talking about doing is taking a corporation, and nothing against what you guys do. Okay? You're taking a corporation and embedding it into the working mechanism of the city. And that's a bad idea.
Hey, can I say something here?
Yeah, well, just
Okay.
1 second, okay?
Oh, you got another point.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
go on.
You're embedding it into the into the city here. So my question to all of you is, why can't you hire an economic director and then subcontract out specific things that we want done into the community? Bring in all kinds of economic development companies and let them bid for it. That's how it's done in the government. You hire a person that oversees the project and you bid on it. And then that person is answerable to the people, not to the corporation. We don't have to look inside the corporation and go to court and do all that garbage. We look inside. So my question to everyone here is, can we do this without embedding, can you do your idea without embedding city funds or
hire an economic developer that controls the whole thing, that's answerable to the people, to the council directly under law, and then they contract you to do it.
That's exactly what we've been doing right now.
Exactly.
And it will cost more based on what's budgeted because. it's-
Depends.
And what I would argue, Dave, is that the current process is broken. Because we've gone through so many economic development directors in so many years, and it is a hard job. It is a hard job, and I felt that even this week because everyone wants to tear us down for the work that we're trying to do. Whether as a community, we all need to be coming together and supporting that individual. And so as long as we continue to have multiple places and divide, it's gonna continue to hurt. So I'm advocating for doing something differently, even if it's not with us, because the current process is broken. And I can guarantee you if we hire another economic development director who's gonna apply for it after what's transpired this last week, I don't know. But if we hire one, I've said it to the council before, we'll churn and burn to that individual in a year because it's been the history. And so that's my fear with doing that. We're still gonna help regardless of what we do. I would like to say our staff, the reason it's different with us is because they have people like us that take the fight for them, so they don't have to. And so that's why we've had zero turnover. Granted, it's only been 3 years, but that's where I would argue we're different. And then with the current situation, because if we hire a current economic development director, it's gonna be the same music, in my opinion.
Can I speak to that?
Yep, come on, Maggie.
Well, while she's coming up, can I answer that?
Sure.
What happens if you have a problem with the mayor? Do we now hire a corporation to replace the mayor? What happens if we have a problem with our chief of police? You're a nice guy, by the way. If
You heard it first.
That was for me too. Yeah. Where you go. So what happens if we have a problem with our chief of police? Do we replace that position with a corporation?
No.
No, because we are controlled by the people. The city council is made up of the people. Our government is made up of the people.
This board is me, I'm saying I can step down.
I understand it, but you're not, no. But there's a difference between a corporation and the people. There is in federal law, there is in state law.
I can see that.
And so, what are we gonna do?
think we
Open
need to
this
get back
door
on
to
track.
slippery slope and start replacing some people with corporations? Do corporations belong in the United States of America? That's my point, you know. that we have-
I would like to interject real quick. Councilman Kirkman did have a question that he hasn't had an
She
opportunity.
was saying to him,
So-
okay, whatever, I'll wait. You have the right.
Okay, all right. Well, first, thanks for coming. Appreciate you coming out here and voicing your opinion there. So a couple things that you had talked about there. I think though the one thing is what we're talking about is having a powerhouse organization of business professionals that know business, that can help businesses get started, get funded, and sustain themselves in this community. And so I think that's the overarching idea, right? Again, yes, it is a corporation, but that's the way we have to do it to fund it. They have to be a 501(c)(3). They're a not-for-profit organization, okay? The second thing is what they're asking from us is basically transitional funding, right? So what we're looking at is they're saying, look, can you help us out for a matter of 5 years? Then we can take over the buck from there, okay? So that's the first part of it. If we got to find some other solution, I guarantee there's enough people out here that care, and we can make something happen. Okay. So then there's the other part of it, which is the LB 840 money, which is the sales tax money, right? So it's basically saying every time you go to somebody's retail store here in the city of Sydney, you're going to be essentially trying to fund. It's not directly this organization, but this organization will have a funding vehicle for future businesses or to expand current businesses. I think for me, that's just kind of the overarching thing. Am I missing anything, Corey, Sarah?
I would just say, I don't think we can touch LB 840, and I don't think we.
No,
have
you,
any
you
intention
won't.
to.
You won't, because we'll have a committee.
Yeah.
So we already have one right now, as a matter of fact. So anything, the way the old model worked was, it was the economic development person that would bring to the committee, correct me if I'm wrong on this, suggested funding of with LB 840 money. And that committee was essentially, Josh, can you speak to this? Essentially, you guys would hear I guess, the argument to fund the such and such organization with the LB 840 money, and then you all would sort of have a voting mechanism to say, yep, that looks like a good investment opportunity for the city of Sydney, let's move forward with this funding, right?
Effectively.
Yeah.
There's 8 or 9 of us on the
Yeah.
committee.
So also, I think all we're doing is changing the philosophy, right? So, yes, well, I mean, I'm a big fan of a voluntary system, right? A voluntary system, I
feel
think is
like
the best way to do it.
One of the biggest sticking points for you guys is the request that you can do to the city. Is that accurate? That's one of the biggest, the
More than that
transparency?
is you're taking a corporate entity, okay, which we absolutely have not all control inside of that, because I have a corporation.
Right.
I have 2. I know you can't reach into those.
Right.
And we won't be able to. And the overarching whole problem of this is you're taking a corporation into the workings of the city. And corporations, for hundreds of years, stay out of the workings of government.
Well, I think that's what we're doing, we're separating,
No,
we're
you're
separating
not.
these two
You're bringing
things.
them in to do the job of the economic developer, which you already have, the economic developer.
Well, we don't have to have that. Why do we need an economic developer?
Then why do we need them?
I asked you first.
On,
Yeah.
on
I think we
LBA,
give
I mean,
them- I think we give
these are fundamental questions, right? Because these are fundamental questions, so I think we can ask these questions.
You guys were hyper-focused on the FOIA request, both of you guys, for a
Yeah.
while. Help me understand, like, how many people in this room, can we raise hands? How many people in this room have submitted a FOIA request? I've never done one. 3?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, can I answer you why? Okay? I mean, because what a lot of you probably don't know is I'm a history buff. I'm a history buff on the Constitution, right? Let me answer you why FOIA requests are important, okay? And why FOIA requests are important to Nebraska. We fought a civil war. I lived right around the battlefield of Gettysburg. And in the battlefield of Gettysburg, in 3 days, 53,000 American casualties were there. It was the bloodiest battle in American history. And America was divided because America did not believe, the South believed in individual states' rights, the North believed in one union, and the North didn't like slavery, the South, we all miss, slavery.
There were also 2 genders back then.
Right, yeah. But here's the thing that changed, okay? After the Civil War ended, okay, in April 9th of 65, the United States was still fractured, guys. And no one knew where to go. Carpetbaggers heading south and doing all this stuff. One territory stood up in 1866, the next year, and started a revolution of public trust. You know which territory that was? Nebraska. Nebraska in 1866 started the Public Records Act. Go look it up. It's on our Nebraska Attorney General's website, entire history.
So I think the
Nebraska
question,
said, come to Nebraska. We will provide you total access to our government so you can see how the government is working, total access to transparency, and we will hold anybody that is contracted accountable. So my point to this whole thing is, people, is that Nebraska fixed it. And now what you're doing is basically kicking 160 years of public records, the ability, not that we do, I don't care how many people do FOIAs, that we have the ability to do FOIAs. That's what gives you trust in government. That's what gives you the trust that you can look into that. And that's what gives you accountability.
so as long as you guys will be accepting any money, any corporation that we decide to go with, we can write it in that contract that you can write it in the contract that they have to be required to the Opens Meeting Act. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So that question there, those questions there, as far as whether or not you'll be able to look into that, has been answered.
No, it hasn't, because there's no overarching law that can force them to do that. How do you force them to do that? How do you do that? I can right now go to the Attorney General and force you to do it. But how do we do it if it's in a contract? We have to go to court
To get
to
the,
do it. We have to take more taxpayer dollars and go to court to do it, because there's no overarching law that controls that, and that is my problem.
Okay, we got
You
somebody.
got a
I'm
question?
sorry, I was next, sir.
I was next
No,
before you
weren't.
got up.
Well, I got up, so let me finish. I want to address the point of.
Sir,
Marguerite first and then
Marguerite,
Trey.
okay.
I'm sorry.
I want to address how you several times have said that anyone in the economic development position hasn't been successful.
I did
I don't
not say
disagree.
that. I didn't
Basically,
say that.
that's what the implication was.
I did not, because I disagree with that.
Okay, whatever. My bottom line point is this, and it's controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. The fact is, the leadership before Josh was a micromanager who did most of his interviews for positions alone, and he did not give those people that went into the economic development position the opportunity to present their best foot forward in that job. They weren't given the training that they should have been. We have a new leader in that position that deserves and should take the opportunity to develop good people that will be treated in a respectful manner in the position that they hold, doing their job, not, and this is going to be controversial, and Marshall's not going to like this either. The most recent, Brandy should not have been doing the job with the Historical Society. It should have been his because it fell under his responsibilities. So the bottom line is, from the get-go, since we've been here, which is 7 years now, none of the people that have had that position as economic development have been able to do their job the way they were supposed to be done, because we had a city manager who's no longer with us that felt the need to minimize the responsibilities of the people in that position, because he made it clear to my husband and David Jansen in his living room that he ran this city, and he did not want any of these other people in that position to have any kind of control. Bottom line, what I'm saying is they didn't get the training they deserved, they didn't get the interviews that they deserved, and they were not successful. They were successful in individual bits and pieces of what they did, but as a whole, they were not, because they were not given the proper tools to do their jobs the way they should have been doing them.
And I would agree. I have
So
definitely
it needs to come back to the city taking responsibility and interviewing with more than one person, interviewing these people and giving them the right tools to do the job first before we go out and deal with a corporation. No offense to you, you have done good
If that's
jobs.
the way we go,
I have a
support
business
that.
coach. I know how much it is needed to have good direction in running your business and being successful. But this city has put leadership has put a bad taste in the average consumer in this community's mouth about how they handle things. And until they fix that, it's my, as a citizen and a taxpayer's point of view, that they have no business going outside of their responsibilities representing the people in this community by bringing a corporation in. You can like it or not, and you can like it or not that I said that this previous city manager was irresponsible and did not do right by his people, but it is a fact. That's basically all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you for your input.
So I genuinely do agree with you.
I know you do, Corey. We've had conversations about
That's
that.
accurate. What I would say, however, is we're not against what you're saying. We just think that's the second best idea. We would really like to not have to pay for the position long-term and also do a good job. And I think both are possible if it is removed.
I think it needs to come back to basics and do it the way it's supposed to be done in the first place. And that's my point of view. And I know it's a lot of people, I think it's the first option, but it is what it is. Thank
Can we
you.
go to the next?
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Trey. I'm from California. I am a small business owner, and my small business is called Modern Moves Fitness and Dance Studio. I was one of the businesses that got not started up by E3, but when I was already getting started with the business, and it was just kind of around, or, you know, I was just doing it, you know what I mean? Because I was going to do it I didn't know there was any help that was around. I didn't know there was any kind of organization that could help me. It never came to my attention to come to the economic development department, and never came to my attention to exactly go to the chamber. But when I accidentally sat in through an E3 meeting about a grant, and I was just kind of there for the snacks at first, it changed my whole business. It's the reason I'm thriving today, because I did that business plan. They didn't write it for me. They just told me how to do it, and I did it in like 2 days. And I was trying to tell other people about E3 and about the business plan, and if they need help, I'll help them, or E3 would help them. And if I couldn't help them, yes, I would direct them to E3. But that's just my story. I'm just a go-getter. I enjoy putting in the work and putting in the time. And they have helped me get other grants on top of it too, when I couldn't just muscle my way through doing things. And one thing that I just want to start off with that. But yeah, I'm super biased. I like this proposal. As a small business owner, I've experienced here what happens when too many entities don't want to work together. And because of that, it does so inefficiently that it makes me not even want to try to get the resources here. I would like to see businesses be energized. E3 does a great job in doing that. They're trying to do it through a channel of philanthropy. And I would like to see Sydney come out of its trauma and lead with innovative ideas, not retreat within itself and lead with fear. But that doesn't, like I said, this proposal isn't perfect yet. That doesn't mean it alone can empower our community. As an outsider, I do believe that if this proposal is going to step outside the box, I definitely believe it should go all the way and be more of an example of collaboration and courage. This proposal shifts power away from maybe a bunch of people to few people, but I think in some ways we can see that it's also a people's corporation, if that's what you're afraid of, the corporation word. We all want things to be more affordable. We all want things to be more sustainable. And we want more businesses to be attracted to here. E3 not only helped take people away from Sydney to see what else is outside of Sydney and how they're doing things, they brought other people into Sydney to see how Sydney is doing things too. I think to be the light in Nebraska, we really have to take charge and try new things that maybe we don't know what's going to end up being at the end of the way. And just finally, just to say, I'm optimistic about this idea of consolidating. I think if this business proposal could minimize the power imbalance it creates in the community, I think that would be great. If we want to go further with the proposal, let's get some more power back to the community too. And I think they can, and I feel like they are open to it. Because I do believe in where they're trying to go. And in other words, I hope that in this proposal's final draft, possibly if it ever gets to it, right, it says to the people that as this kind of corporation thing is going to happen, they're not only going to play fair, they're going to play right. Thank you.
Thank you, Trey.
Next.
Congratulations on your award the other day.
My name is Wendell Gaston, and I promised myself I'd never come back into this room after being in here a lot of nights. But I guess I don't want to speak to the politics stuff. I just want to talk a little bit because we're a different kind of state, because we are not a home rule state. which means you guys can only do exactly what the unicameral tells you to do, or you can go to jail. I don't know if you know that, but you can. So, Jeremy, when you ask, we could give the people's name. The way they design the 840 funds is you cannot release names of any money given out unless the person that got the money says you can. That's the only way that part works. But when I first moved here, they had started a private corporation called Cheyenne County Community Development Corporation. It helped me get started. It was a private entity. It was started mostly by banks. Jack Lowe was involved in that, and most of these names nobody will ever know, but Bob Conrad, all the bankers were involved in that, and they were kind of privately funded. And they helped start new businesses. I came to buy a pharmacy. They helped me how somebody with $77 in his pocket could buy a pharmacy. They worked with the bankers, and they really helped me a lot. The trend of having a private corporation like this, or having it in all in the city, happens clear across the state, and it kind of goes in 25-year intervals. 25 years, it's about a private corporation. Then about 25 years, they put it in-house. With a private corporation, it is more private, so you have harder time finding out about information. But the problem is, even when you have it in the public entity and use tax dollars, you're restricted a lot. And you can't, I'll talk about that in a minute. So there's still two entities. So what was happening with the individual corporation was trying to fund operations, trying to get a fundraiser, also trying to get a director consistently, and having somebody with credentials enough to apply. The other thing that happens is when you start making a decision on something, you still have to go to the city all the time to find out, can they provide you power, can they provide you water, can they provide you everything else. So it got to the point that it seemed that the corporation, which was doing a fine job, and they brought people, Cabela's was brought here with them, Safe Play, I don't know if you remember Safe Play, they did Everlast boxing, mats and boxing gloves were produced here. So all the world champions were at that period of time in Sydney at one time. They brought some big companies here. So it worked. Problem was financing, keeping a director, being able to afford benefits for them. So it appeared to be better to move it in-house. And so that's kind of, and then that corporation was dissolved. So it was moved into house because you could get benefits through the city. You didn't have to run clear across town or try to run somebody down to find out about all the utilities. It was all in house. And then we had, and so that worked. That was the shift to that, and it worked good. As far as the confidentiality things, they were the same in the corporation as they were in-house. It just made it more convenient. Then when the 840 money finally came around, the city couldn't push it one way or another because you can't push a bill. There were private citizens then that pushed that. So then money became available then to actually finance some economic development, mostly for smaller towns. And so that worked really good. Now we're kind of at a point again where we having trouble finding somebody consistently to fill that position. The confidentiality, you're going to spend tax dollars that you can't tell anybody. You can tell them where it goes, but you can't tell them why. You're already having money coming out of your that doesn't come from sales tax because the state economic development people made the contract with somebody without your input, And they gave the money away over years that they take out of your sales tax, and you still today cannot find out where it goes. We filed several petitions in the past about that. We never found out. We finally got them to tell us how much sales tax they were going to withhold from us a month before. Before, we would just find out that month that you're not going to get so much sales tax because it went to your economic development program that you had no idea who it went to, what it was for, or why it happened. And you had no input, and you still can't find out about it. Most of that is because we are not a home rule state. So as far as one program over another, I understand the confidentiality thing, but I have no answers to some of that. I have no answers for that. But I can tell you there's towns now flipping back and forth about every 25 years from a corporation back and forth. As far as the economic development, one of the interesting things is more and more people are starting to set up E3 type things for small businesses because you can do whatever you want, but we're not going to get a company of 100 employees or bigger come to Sidney, Nebraska. We're going to have to grow them here. So you take a company that's 10, 20 people, and then you grow it. That's how all the small towns in Nebraska are operating. You grow your businesses. And so that's kind of an advantage for E3 because they're kind of getting somebody off of the ground because it's hard to do a business plan. It's hard to find out about the grants. It's hard to fill that out. So my suggestion is either program is going to work. There's lots of rules. If it's private, you got to follow the rules. If you use public money, and you have to report that to the extent you're allowed to. If it's a in-house, same kind of thing. It's always going to be a matter, can you make enough money or raise enough money, have enough money to hire good administrators and pay them benefits. There's a lot of stuff that people don't want to know that they're doing out there. So I think either way it's good. We've had corporation before, worked fine. Same kind of issues that we're facing now are happening in the city. If you go back, it's probably fine. If you stay in the house, it's probably fine. I have no recommendation one way or another. I'm just saying we were there and it worked, and we came in-house and it worked. But you're still restricted by what the unicameral allows you to do. And they don't allow you to do a lot of stuff that, even though you're a taxpayer, it's confidential. So, I don't know if you have any questions. I probably won't be back again. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendell.
Randy.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Oh, I feel like this is my fault that we're all here, but.
No.
Brandy Stone, former Economic Development Director. Thought I'd point out a few things while we're talking about all this. Whether it's a corporation or you guys choose to stick with the position, they're going to face the same issues no matter what we do. If you stick with the city, you're going to be faced with certain leaders across the entire county that constantly say there's a stigma that comes with this position, which is completely unfair because in the past, I didn't feel that stigma until someone said that. And it's not fair to put that in people's minds if someone hasn't brought it up. But you're going to face that. This position would face that no matter what you do. You're going to face a lack of unity. And I think today definitely shows a little bit of lack of unity. It's really sad to see, we're supposed to be all about democracy and talking it out, but I feel that we're not always hearing each other. And that was always a problem with this position. I'm really sad to see that there are people in this room I have never seen before. But when I came to you guys, every time I finished talking, I would say, you can come to my door. And it wasn't just for you, it was for the entire community. And yet, I didn't get that knock. People did not come see me, and I don't know if it was because of my leadership or if it was because of me, but I'll never know because now I'm gone. I do wish things had worked out differently, and this position will always feel that problem. There's going to have to be some changes, and I don't know exactly what that looks like, whether it's a corporation or you guys change some things about this position, but I you know, I commend them. They've been pushing for a corporation for a long time. I don't know what the right answer is for that structure. I do hope that LB 840 is constantly addressed because there's great things you can do with it. And I know that right now we focus a lot on entrepreneurs and small businesses in Sydney, but one day we're going to have to look at something a little bigger too. And that was something I was always trying to focus on and always question, why are you doing that? Why are you going after bigger business? Why are you going after bigger opportunities? Well, I thought that was one of the goals of economic development. There are pillars in economic development, right? You've got housing, business, childcare. There's all sorts of things that play into how our economy runs smoothly. And to constantly be questioned and put on the chopping block for a new idea, it's not going to get us anywhere. We're not gonna make it anywhere based on that. But I do want to say I've never said to anyone, stay in your lane. I hope that we can work together. I hope that we can come up with new ideas. When someone came to my door and they wanted to talk about a corporation or a new business or a new idea, I was game.
And we'll agree with that. Randy was always collaborative, 100%.
So to watch everything unfurl since I left is really heartbreaking. I think I made economic development a little bit too much of my identity when I was doing this position. And another thing you'll face if you decide to stick with a partnership with the county is this person getting questioned constantly about going to help the outer villages. Before I started this position, nobody knew it existed in a couple of the surrounding villages. People were questioning, well, how much do I have to pay you? You don't pay me. I'm already an asset for the county. This is supposed to be a partnership, but every time I go to a village, I've got one leader or another or someone in the office wondering why I'm not here, why I'm gone. Because no one wants to come to the offices, because there's that stigma that people have created. Whether it's a leader or it's someone in the community, it has been created. I could not get people to come into this office and do a meeting, and I hope that changes. The whole fact that everyone said, well, we just expect economic development to last a year, that's a terrible way to start a job. The lack of support is horrible. So I started this job and everyone's like, oh, you'll last a year. That's awesome. That's a really great thing to hear from a community member or a leader. I hope this community can figure it out. It was really, really frustrating to sit here and get speculated from both community side and leadership side. So when you leave a position, it's because of a multitude of reasons. Well, if my leadership is bad, I turn to the community. If the community's bad, I turn to leadership, but I had a hard time following either side. I'm sad to be gone. I love this work, and I hope that Cheyenne County and the city of Sydney can figure out where to go from here. I'm not going to advocate against a corporation. I'm not going to advocate against you guys refilling the position, but I think we should look at the pitfalls of each side. And I hope that we grant the next person a little bit more grace and support them. And don't say, you only last a year. That's really not fair.
Thanks, Randy.
Randy, I got a question for you.
Sure.
When it comes to economic, I've heard a lot of different stuff on whether it's Sydney doesn't have the workforce or the taxes are too high. What was your number one thing when you were talking to businesses to get them to actually fully commit to Sydney? What was their number one thing that drove them away?
I don't know how to say this professionally. It's all about who's in the room, right? So
was it necessarily something? Yes, I mean we do have some control of whatever, but was there one really big thing that they said they were not coming over? Let's say affordability, or where they saw the way the city was moving.
I think a lot of people do watch the way the city is moving. Okay. I've heard in multiple meetings, what about the lack of unity? And the lack of unity was a big thing that everyone watches. I don't know how much y'all look at our social media, look at YouTube, look at everything out there on the internet. That's how they judge us. And they have chosen other communities just based on what they see out on the internet. So we give ourselves a bad look when we can't agree about some things. And I'm not trying to say that Sydney's, like the worst city ever and that we can never agree. But when we don't agree, it's really ugly. And it's out there for everyone to see. Lack of professionalism.
Thank
probably.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? I'm not used to this anymore.
Thank you. Keith, we keep this thing rolling? All right.
put my hat on. It was against the rules, but my hair's ugly. Keith Grinig. I'm the owner of Sweet Ice, and I've got a pretty recent experience with all three. Very recent. We're still kind of in the middle of it. Started a business. I've been here for 20 years, so I've seen the good of Cabela's, I saw the worst of Cabela's, and I saw the aftermath of Cabela's and everything else that's come in between. And there's been people that have been here longer than me. But I couldn't bring myself to leave. I couldn't have sold my house anyway. But here we are, right? So we got Sweet Ice. We've been in business for 3 months, and the community support has been phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. Blown away. I wish we could have Brandy back. She was great. So we dealt with Chamber, we dealt with City, we dealt with E3. And I don't have a complaint about any of them. I really don't. In each lane, they were really, really good. Brandy she drove around with me for almost a day. We've looked for a location for 2 years before we finally settled on where we were at. 2 years, because we couldn't get what we needed. We needed a drive-through, we needed this, we needed that. We approached private people, we approached the city, saying, can we rent space from the parking lot? What can we do? And it took us 2 years to get where we're at. And luckily we got where we're at, and we're good with that. However, that was a challenge, right? We worked with E3, and we've had 0 grant dollars. But they've helped us find ways to get a website. They've helped us find ways to get food safety education. They find ways to help us on finding information that we didn't know exists. We can reinvent the wheel, or we can use the wheel that exists. Why not use the resources that we have available? And the biggest challenge that I had with my wife doing this was the 3 different lanes were really hard. Who do we go to? Well, we had to work with Brandy on some economic, and really the only levers, and her hands were tied with what she had. She did a great job. I applaud Brandy, absolutely. But the only thing we had was rental assistance and a signage improvement. That's it. And that was, and the signage is pretty limited on the funding, and rental is about $3,000, roughly speaking. That doesn't really move the needle. The sign I want is about $40K. I think it'd be helpful. So we took a building that was an eyesore. It's not as much of an eyesore, and we got something coming in. We got money coming in, and I'm paying taxes on the way out. I think that's a good guy. We have E3 that helped us get things set up. We applied for a grant, but then the wheels fell off of that whole grant anyway. But nobody had any control of that one. And then we had Chamber that's going to help us as an existing business to advocate for what we want. But the challenge was 3 different lanes. If we could try to consolidate something, that's a positive. Whether it's in the city, whether it's a corporation, it doesn't matter. And the city's got to have representation, because if I'm going to ask for some tax incentive, something, the only thing she had to offer was those 2 things. Well, okay, what about what other things do we have available? What's in the tool belt? Well, we didn't know. And Brandy was pretty limited on what she could do in the tool belt. That's not her fault. And I don't think necessarily the city's fault, it's just what it was. But streamlining is a big deal. The most difficult piece we had to deal with was the city. Not in a bad way. It's just that was the most complicated piece. We had to get permits. We had to do this. We had to do that. And then it was like, okay, what about this? What about this? That was a challenge. If we can streamline some of that and help get a business plan going, that means more dollars available, because it looks better out to a loan committee. Where's the downside? I don't see one. So business, private, not, doesn't matter. Let's streamline it one way or the other. That's a good guy. That's what we have to keep going. We can disagree, but we have to disagree better. We have to, Utah Governor Spencer Cox, I'm just going to put a little, look at his disagree better. We can all learn from that. But I just applaud all entities. But we can do better so that we can all thrive better. Let's make the pie bigger instead of cut the pie into smaller slices. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
No, go ahead. I'm not talking.
Oh, okay.
Want to hang out?
Thompson the other year. Hi, I'm Amber, and I own Safe at Home. Actually, I have received LB 840 money, and I still am receiving LB 840 money. I actually came up here to talk about E3 and what they have done for me personally. This is our 4th year open, and we started with 2 people. We currently have 296 people that work for us across the state of Nebraska. And what they have done is not just for us in this community, but they have helped me personally in other communities. And why that makes a difference here for us is when they do that and I open other offices in other communities, my corporation sits here. So we bring in more people for payroll here. That is higher jobs. We have full benefits now. And I think those things are very important to understand what this has done for our town. All of these people that sit here and do all of these things they show up, they're not getting paid to do this. They are coming, they are helping, they are doing all of it to help us. And I think that's a very important thing to hear. And I think the chamber has been wonderful. I think Brandy has been wonderful. And I think having a committee like that is huge for all of us, because if we can grow something like that in 4 years, imagine everybody working together and pulling resources from all over the state of Nebraska. We could do amazing things. We just have to all work together. And I just wanted to tell them thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Amber. Last time I talked to you, you mentioned that you were actually trying to bring employees back to Sydney.
Well, what I would like to do is, because we do have, like they said, only 3%, and that does get a little hard, but as other companies come in, like we've talked about before, they bring in husbands, they bring in wives. Those are the people that I need to start seeing come in, or I'm going to have to start running ads in cities to bring in people to, like I said, our payroll is getting bigger. We're going to need more help. We're going to need more HR, because I want the corporation to be here. That has always been my goal. This is my town too. I grew up here. I saw the rise and fall, and so, like I said, that was what was the most important to me. So yes, I would like to bring people back here to make the more high-paying jobs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am Lynette Elaine. I do not have a business here, but I live in Sydney and have for the last 4 years. And I think that no matter which direction we go with developing the economy of Sydney, we are at a point right now that we can kind of change direction or go whatever direction we want. We have to come to terms with the fact we are not a Cabela city anymore. And we are not a David Scott city anymore. And we have got turnout of people that are very interested in developing our town and finding a good direction. We definitely want to come together. I'm over the whole this side, that side, what did this say? What do we, as a group, as citizens, want Sydney to be? And we are at a point where I don't think that that's identified anymore, because we've had some recent changes. And if we could come together with a slogan or a direction, or we want to be creative, we want to be businesslike, we don't really know what we are. So how can we bring other businesses in if we can't even sell ourselves? And if we could figure out a way to identify our new identity, then we can go out and start selling Sydney to other people and other businesses. And I'm ready to do that. I work with anybody and everybody in the city. I try to be as even keel as I can. I am fiscally conservative, though. But I really think that before we start economic development decisions, we have to figure out what are we actually developing. And I really appreciate everyone who came and is here and is concerned. And I don't see anybody in this room that doesn't want the best for the city of Sydney. And I thank you guys for that.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, come on up.
Okay, Richard Hopp. I never come to these things. Never have anything to say.
We're coming, man.
Yeah, right. You got me out of work.
There we go.
I'm a business owner in Sydney. I have been for 10 years. I built my business from nothing, like during the Cabela's thing. For a business owner, seeing new businesses coming in, if you could say you can go to this person, they're going to help you. Or you can go to this group of people, and they're going to help you. I'm going to pick the group 100 times building my company. I mean, I think everything that they have done has been nothing but great for Sydney. And there's nothing against like any other views or nothing, but born and raised here, I've seen everything, and nobody's sitting here to fail. I'm tired of like the backroom deal talk. There better be a backroom deal for more than 125 grand, like to make this worth it. Like this is to build the community. Like I want my business just to keep going, like keep going up. And that's only going to happen with more businesses coming to town. I mean, we travel the whole panhandle. We go into Wyoming, like we go find our work, but this town has so much possibility. And I think a board of people that really have the goal of Sydney in mind compared to like one individual. And I'm not saying like one individual cannot do it, but I would entrust 6 or 5 or 6 people's views on how to like move forward than one, personally. And then my second question, I guess, would be like, what control does the city have over you? Because these requests that are getting asked or whatever, and then it goes to court for taxpayer dollars. Like, does our city attorney like cover you guys? Like, right? I mean, so like my tax dollars, like if you get sued, like that's you guys, right? So my tax dollars, so you guys are just taking all the responsibility off of it, like other than the 5-year investment.
And Kendra has already advised, because full transparency, we had started our own 501c3 documentation to enter before this agreement. We put it on pause for this agreement. Kendra was our attorney for that, and she fully disclosed, I cannot represent you in this any further because of the conflict. We would get our own attorney, we would get all of our own insurance, that's 100% on us.
Yeah, so the city liability like even falls even less, right? Like taking that person out. So being a business owner, like I love E3, so yeah.
Thank you. Business now?
Right now, not big enough. Like we employ 7 people full-time year-round, 7 people. During the summer, we get up to 25. I hire a lot of kids. We bring a lot of kids from high school, and I mean, we teach it like I could have brought in a ton of high school kids. Like the stuff that they learn, they love working for. I mean, we teach them life skills. None of them are ever going to pour concrete in their life. Like you can ask them that. But
By the time they're done, can they?
oh, all of them can do anything. Like they can do a lot. They won't do it, but like they can do a lot. Like yeah, I mean, I try and give back as much as I can to this community. Like I'm born and raised here. I mean, like I donate everything that I can, and I mean, you can like my business is Hop Landscape. Like you can see it everywhere.
You was starting with just a mower.
Yeah, I started with power rake and aerator and a mower, and then my first employee actually, he showed up to help me and never left. So I actually never hired my first employee, and he's been with me for 9 years. So, I mean, I'd love to grow. Like we got a plot out by Next Gen. We already got 10 acres. Like it was hard. Like Brandy was trying to help me. I got too busy. That's why corporation to do the stuff because I'm trying to build. I mean, we're going to invest over $500,000 out there, a little landscape company, because we want to do an outside sales and all that, you know. And I got too busy. Like it was nothing against them, and like everybody bashes David. Like he isn't. Like David did good for me. Like he helped me too, and I think he did a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. Like from what I've heard, so. I think we have to give him his credit where it was due as well, instead of just shoving him in the mud where he cannot defend himself. But it'd be nice to get this project going. I mean, we're out at the industrial park. I mean, I already paid, I paid for the plot and all that. It came before you guys. I mean, it'd be nice to get something going, but, everybody I've worked with is gone now. So it's kind of up in the, where do you go now? The economic developer's gone. The city manager's gone. He's busy. I've tried to catch him 3 times.
I owe you a phone call, Richard, and I apologize.
That's on a different.
Trying to, catch up here.
Anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to put my 2 cents. I never come to these things. This one was kind of a big deal, I think. I think it's great for the community, and yeah, thank you.
Hey, you're Rich.
Thanks, Richard.
John, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'd come up there when I got bad knees. By the time I get there, you guys would be ordering supper. Anyway, I got one question. After 5 years of tax money going to the corporation, and they don't have any money, are they going to come back and ask more like the community center does every year and every year and every year? And I got a comment.
And they might. I mean, I think that's still a risk. I mean, I know that you two are working on a big endowment, but there's the same question I asked them, when we talked was we're talking 20 years, 30 years. How do we know for sure? And I don't think anybody knows what this world looks like in 20 years, anyways. But yeah, I mean, all they can do is do the best they can do. Sorry for talking on your behalf, but
You're trying to go to commit tax money after 5 years anyway, right?
No.
Technically. You need it, but he's saying, well, you get the money, right?
I think that's what we're talking about is just general risk. And I'm just sorry for jumping in front of you, but I'm just saying I think that always could be a risk. You know what I mean? But they're just doing the best they can to get their endowment
A
together.
little bit of background on what we've done. There's no guarantee. So I'm not gonna say 100% I guarantee it, because I'm not gonna lie to you. But since we started this work 3 years ago, we've already raised $1 million without really trying that hard. So I'm very confident in that. Since that, I've been involved in a park that's raised almost $800,000. We've been involved in an endowment that's raised $1.25 million for the community. We will get it done, because we care about it and we're passionate about it. So I'm not going to say another COVID couldn't hit or something, but I will do everything in my power to raise that money.
All right, my comment is, I travel around and I've lived in my panhandle all my life. I'm 87 years old. The big comment when I talk to people outside of the state, I got a business in town and I got a business out of town. The biggest comment is the tax problems with the city and the county, because we're the highest county and city in the state. You've got to do something about lowering the taxes and quit spending so much money frivolously, I'd say, to get people to come here.
I hate my property.
Absolutely.
So,
South
I'm
part
with
of
you.
town,
It's awful.
4 people from Colorado moved in, 3 have moved out, or 2 have moved out, and 1's moving out, and the taxes are being caused or legal.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay taxes, but that's the problem with this community. We've got our tax rate is too high. Bill, you guys got to do something about raising the taxes every year.
Can I expand on that?
Yep.
Yes, go, Phil.
Sanders, County Commissioner, and I'm not coming up here either because I got a bad knee.
Come together, we got 2 good knees.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna remind everyone, and I don't want to tick anybody off. First, let me tell you, thank you all for this meeting. This proves to me how important economic development is in our community. But it's hard for me to sit here. I've been a commissioner for 11 years. I got 1 year left and I'm done. And I'm just gonna tell you that when we started this thing, when I started, our levy was 48.5 cents. This year we got below 40. We worked so hard to get to that point. And we keep getting, the county, not the city or any other entity, but we keep getting accused of the county being the highest in the state. That's not true. That's not true, folks. What I ask is the other entities to do your due diligence in cutting your taxes and lowering your levy. We're trying to do that. And I'm not picking on any of you guys. You got handed a mess. And I'm not gonna say who it was, but we all know who it was, why we're here today. But we are not the highest in the state. Okay?
The state's put out.
Well, they must be because that's not true. that I've got to clarify that, folks, and it's important we all know that, because if you sit on a board, or if you think you can make it better, get on that ballot in the spring and vote. I mean, run for that position. It's important, and I hope more people will, but I'm done. And I appreciate the time I've been here. Cheyenne County is my home. I love it. I love all of you. You're important to me. And we'll fix this thing. We will fix this thing. The two things I want to mention too. You said earlier that we give, when I say we, I'm talking the county, we give $25,000.
Is that accurate?
That's not accurate.
What's
It
the
is
number?
20, Sarah.
Okay, 20.
And we've
Okay,
always
thank you.
given 20.
Okay, thank you.
But I gotta be honest with you, the time I've been here, and I'm not picking on anybody, we have really we have nothing to show for it. We give the 20,000, they come and ask for it, we give it. This year I asked, where does that money go? I still can't get an answer. I like what I see here, I like the ideas, all the ideas. It's important we hear everything. We'll figure this thing out. But we've got to work together. We got to stop this hatred. We got to stop the bashing each other. I'm sick of social media. It's killing this community, folks, and it isn't just this community, it's the whole United States. We've got to reach out to each other, shake hands, and agree to disagree. And you said at the beginning, and I will back that up. And I'll be the first one to start this thing by apologizing if I've done anything to offend any of you. I did this job because my family came here in 1877, and I love this county. We've got the history. Let's not let it fall apart. Let's work together and quit hammering each other. And I appreciate each one of you. You guys got your work cut out for you. But I just can't sit here and take this anymore. We are not #1 in the state. We're working at it. We're not Ogallala. Their levy's down to 20 cents. But look what they have to work with. They have Lake McConaughey. I mean, you've got to really study the counties to see what's going on. Not saying we can't get better, but we're going to try. I got one more year and I'll do my best, I promise you. That's all I got, folks.
All right.
Thank you, Phil.
Can I clarify something? Thank you, Commissioner. I just wanted to clarify something, the difference between a levy and a tax increase. Lowering your levy does not lower your taxes. So when the county started in 2022 and asked for an 8% tax increase, the county property tax
Can we
call
get
was...
back on topic, not talk about levies and stuff? Can we get back on economic development?
Time and place. And I appreciate it, Eric, I really do. I know where you're going with it. But I think we need to stay with the economic development. You guys don't.
But this is part of the reason that the economic development is not happening, because of the taxes. The tax call's gone from 5.6 million to 6.4 million in 3 years. So your taxes have gone up every year, with the exception of the 1% decrease last year, but you got it all back, 3% this year. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's, once we get to the point, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I still welcome feedback, but I think there's some stigma around too, because we've opened things up to anyone to come to E3, but I'm not a fool. I have a strong personality. And so people might not always, you know this. People might not always feel comfortable coming certain ways. I think this action still in from you, Ted, that there be people that are interested in it, review the proposal, review other options out there, and in a month or so, come with a suggestion, is this up to snuff? Make a recommendation to council of private citizens that are not E3 to say, do they like this proposal or not, and take it from there, because that way, we want full transparency that we're not trying to jackhammer this in, because we can continue to operate exactly as we are. I welcome feedback on that, but it's completely up to you.
Joe, you got something? I'm looking forward to it.
I'll
Okay.
make a statement for the chamber.
Please.
So I'm Joe McCarn, Director of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for the great conversation today from everybody. It is good when we can all get in the same room and have discussions, and not just backbiting. But there's a lot of folks in here that really care and really want a viable solution. Unfortunately, you guys have a big decision to make. So Just thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this important discussion about the future of Sidney and Cheyenne County. This conversation is about more than growth. It's about alignment, sustainability, and ensuring we're all working toward the same long-term goals. Across the country, chambers of commerce have evolved. What began as merchant groups focused on trade and infrastructure has become a cornerstone of community and business leadership. Modern chambers are no longer just about the hosting of events or marketing. They're about driving vitality through leadership, advocacy, and connection. They give businesses a voice, create opportunities for learning, and build networks that strengthen both the business community and the community at large. That evolution defines the work that we're doing right here in Cheyenne County. The Cheyenne County Chamber has been part of this community for decades. Through growth, transitions, and challenges, what makes our chamber unique is that we've never stopped believing in the power of collaboration. In recent years, we've taken a hard look at who we are, what we do, and how we can serve this county better. Country, too. That reflection led to renewed focus, stronger leadership, and a mission centered on empowering local businesses and enhancing quality of life in every corner of Cheyenne County. We've built our work around 6 guiding pillars: giving businesses a unified voice, providing learning opportunities that build capacity, improving visibility for local enterprise, strengthening our sense of community, connecting businesses to vital resources, and expanding meaningful networks that lead to growth. Over the past 14 months, the Chamber has made measurable strides forward. We've streamlined operations for efficiency and accountability. We've strengthened partnerships with the city, the county, and our business community. We've brought consistency and professionalism back into everything we do, from member engagement to communication to impact. Most importantly, we've shifted from simply promoting businesses to empowering it, ensuring that every program, every event, and every initiative we take on drives real outcome for local employers and residents alike. This isn't the Cheyenne County Chamber of yesterday. This is a chamber with purpose, direction, and a clear understanding of how to help our county prosper. Our focus is on helping Cheyenne County grow from within. We believe that our portion of lasting progress in Cheyenne County starts by supporting the businesses that are already here, helping them expand, innovate, and hire more local talent. We connect businesses to resources and training that helps them adapt to changing markets. We provide access to networks that foster collaboration and new opportunity. We amplify the voice of business so local leaders understand both the challenges and the potentials of the private sector. Excuse me. And we work to ensure that every community in Cheyenne County feels the positive ripple effects of a strong, thriving business environment. So it's important to clarify. The Chamber is not seeking to take over the duties of economic development in Cheyenne County. We are not looking to lead business recruitment or expansion projects, write or manage grants, or assume responsibilities that belong within a formal economic development structure. Our role is different and intentional. We focus on strengthening the foundation, helping existing businesses grow, supporting workforce development, improving the local business climate, and fostering collaboration among stakeholders. When each organization does what they do best and works together, we build a system that's balanced, effective, and responsive to the needs of this community. Cheyenne County's future depends on collaboration, consistency, and clarity of purpose. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, we need to align the spokes. The Chamber is ready to be part of that alignment, as a connector, a communicator, and a trusted partner for the businesses that keep this community moving forward. Through our work, giving business a voice, fostering learning, building visibility, connecting resources, strengthening community, and growing networks, we are driving local vitality and enhancing the quality of life for everyone who calls Cheyenne County home. We're committed to building a Cheyenne County where opportunity grows, not by chance, but by design. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I think that's another thing we got to explore too. Is there a way to get the chamber in the same roof, like just in the same physical location?
I actually believe that the Chamber, tourism, and economic development should all be under the same roof.
So yeah, it's just kind of like to Richard's point, like you could just go to one place and then you get everything done you need to get done.
Three separate
Yeah.
entities, but we're working together.
Yeah.
Under the same roof.
Right.
Yes.
If only there is an empty building in the city.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
My name is McKaylee Conger, for those of you who don't know. I used to be the president of the chamber, what feels like forever ago. I've been a contractor within the city, been very involved with the community since I chose to move home after college. And I was also part of E3 when it was 6 of us sitting at a table in St. Louis just saying we have to do something to make sure this stays the town that we love. So I have a little bit of street cred in some of these organizations, like knowing what happens behind closed doors. I think regardless if you're doing what Joe did or what Brandy did or what they're doing, everyone in the community thinks that they know what you should do and how you should do it. And that makes it a really hard job. None of these people have easy jobs. It's insanely difficult. I often would say I had to make like a palace out of pennies because you just have so much work to do. There's always work to do. Even when we're doing great, there's work to do. What I do want to say is I think I've always loved the idea of a corporation. I was there when we talked about it the very first time. I've seen it in action. I think it's awesome. I think regardless if it's a corporation or everyone living under one roof, it has to be with the right people, and we all have to be open to working with each other, because just throwing us all in one building isn't going to make it work. So I have sat on all of these committees, I've been in these rooms, and I know how we talk when we're in a room together. And I know how much we say we love to collaborate and work together and do these things together, and I know what it sounds like when we go behind our closed doors. And that's not always the tone when we close our doors. So I would just encourage whatever direction we go, if it's just putting everyone in one building, if it's making it a corporation, if it's keeping economic development here, we really push the standard of collaboration, and not just when we're all in a room together, but also when we go back to our offices, when we go back to talk to our councils or our boards, because I don't think that that always happens. And I know I'm guilty of it. I think we're all guilty of it. We go home and we talk to someone about how we truly feel, and then collaboration kind of falls through the cracks. So that's just
Thank you.
Good.
Real quick, I still have to pack and drive to Lincoln. So if anybody has really hard questions and wants to roast Sarah, since I'm stepping out, now's the time.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
My name's Steve Castle. I've lived in Sydney now 6 years. And I retired in Alliance and moved here. And I pay over $500 a month property taxes a month. And because of the high tax rate, I have to work part-time now in retirement. But, you know, I understand building the tax base through businesses would help lower my taxes. So, you know, I'm a big believer in economic development. And a statement was made that, you know, I wish the young lady was still here, that maybe our past city manager kind of handcuffed the economic person, and I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, you know, my question would be to you, are you going to treat it differently? You know, I don't know how he treated them, and is it going to be different under you?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to comment on the past administration and how they led, but I can tell you that I do not lead the same way. Absolutely not. I think you can ask any of the directors and superintendents that I've worked with in the 5 months that I've been here that I'm not the same leader as my predecessor.
Well, that's good to know.
Yes, sir.
You know, because, yeah, and I truly believe where somebody said we need to be united in this, you know. I'm part of the faction where I see this stuff on Facebook and other places, and it's just, it's kind of like the country. Everybody's fighting. There's so much anger today. And, you know, I'm 68. I'm tired of anger. I'd like to see, you know, more peace. But, you know, I just an idea what I thought of, and didn't really have time to think, you know, maybe hire an economic developer, put him, you know, in the city, give him a chance to work with him and see if it's any different based on our previous city manager. And if it doesn't change, then we go to the corporation. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Is there any more? Good.
I've probably been, in fact, I know I've been retired for over 20 years.
Can you state your name, please?
I agree with the sentiment about taxes. If they get too high, people go
Sir,
somewhere else.
sir, can you state your name, please?
This is Jim McFarland. One of the things I think we need to see is an increase in businesses that bring money in from outside the county. Whether it's manufacturing, tourism, services that are rendered beyond our borders, we need to see that. And one comment I want to add, the fellow that was sitting behind me was talking about, what do you do if somebody wants more money in 5 years? And I think there's, this is a question for Sarah. If somebody gets money, starts a business, and it starts to look like a black hole, what do you do about funding them?
We don't fund any a business, to be clear.
Okay.
We don't fund any business. That's, our money comes in to fund our staff that we've gotten through philanthropic funding. We don't give to the businesses. What we do is we work, so a big funder of this year was Grow Nebraska. And we would help them write a grant application to that entity, and they would get funds from Grow Nebraska. It never came from us.
Okay.
But is your question to say if it's going red, what advice do we give to that business? Is that where you're trying to go?
Basically, yeah. If a business becomes a black hole you pour money into, whoever's pouring it in, is there a safeguard against that?
That's, so our money will never go towards that. Our money purely goes to the staff and the corporation specifically, and different things like office supplies, equipment, the website, that type of thing. But it will never go to a business. We don't, 501c3s cannot give directly to a business, I don't believe. Are you, Kendra? I don't believe corporate nonprofits can give to a business legally. So we will never take money and give it to a business. That's not our purview. We just help them apply for the funding ourselves.
Okay. But it is a concern I have. You give money, get a business started, good thing. But some businesses don't really make it, they want more money. And that's something we need to be concerned with. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think someone,
Yeah. So a comment on that, and I can speak from personal.
Can you come up here?
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
I don't know, maybe it's too much.
You could say your knee it's not working.
So I'm Taylor Wills. I actually don't live in Sydney. I live in Potter. But to kind of just base off what he said, part of the reason that E3 exists right now is to help businesses write a business plan. And I think the number of businesses that end up in a black hole when they have a business plan and have the support is a lot less than those that don't. And I know that when they look at the grant applications, they take into account that business plan and make sure that they're providing to a business that they think is going to be successful. So I think that was just an important thing to add to the previous person.
Well, we can add, of course, we would never state businesses or names, but we can add the businesses that do really successful are the amazing Trey Newmans and the ones of the world that work their tails off and have the details. And there are businesses that will fail because they come and they can't answer questions about their financials or what the future looks like or how much overhead is going to be. And those are the ones that don't normally stick with us because they can't answer the details of that, but some of them choose to go that way. But those are the ones that tend to close their doors.
or can adjust with times.
Yes.
Vicky?
Hi,
Vicky.
Vicki Lowry. I just, one quick little snippet, and this kind of feeds off of what Mr. Sanders was saying. I came here from a big city. Resources I took advantage of, I didn't realize it until I got here, and it was that point about, so, what do you mean volunteer fire department? And so who's coming to put my house out? And I got a quick lesson in, don't start your house on fire, because they're coming, but it'll be gone before they can get there, possibly. So I'm like, oh. So I started looking at some of this. When people talk about our property taxes, one of the major subjects in my background and in college, macroeconomics, microeconomics, statistics, those are all evil subjects, and they can be manipulated. They can all have that. But if you look at Sydney or Cheyenne County compared to Scottsbluff, and you took our number of what the county's tax base is, you divided it by the number of people that live in Scottsbluff County, our taxes would be the same. Where we have the disadvantages, we need like 3,000 more people in this county if we want the same lower taxes. Where are we gonna come up with that? Or are we gonna lose $6 million somewhere out of the county budget? And former jobs, because I'm a chameleon, I've worked a lot of different places here in town. So, you know, if you want the police to stop arresting people and stop getting lawyers, you know, because you're entitled to a lawyer, if you want nobody to get mental health treatment, if you want to do away with loads of problems, you know, or problem solution type things, then we have the opportunity to decrease that budget. Otherwise, if you like being able to know that you're going to get out of your driveway and not be stranded in some county road because there's a road grader that comes through once a month, you know, then we need our budget to kind of the way it is, unfortunately. That's the price of living out here. And that gets missed in some of these conversations. You know, there is a price to pay. You know, we either need more people, and with more people means we need more water and more electricity, more everything else. Or we have some other tough choices to make, and that's living in a free society. So.
Thanks, Vicky.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Vicky.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Julia Contrado. I moved here when I was about 14. I'll soon be 40. My family roots go deep here, related to Hards. I'm actually part of your competitor. Turner Landscaping is my uncle. Yeah, so, I'm not used to public speaking.
You're good.
Yeah, social media, there's a lot of misconceptions. I'm glad I came here today because I thought they were talking about a corporation from like coming in from out of state or outwards, not somebody developing it from E3. So yeah, I'm glad I came here today and I got to hear some testimonials from other people here. I think it's great that it's more of a more intimate setting of local people, and that it does take a little bit off of the back of our board members' responsibilities. And yeah, I mean, of course, now I do have ADHD and I'm blank. So I did have like a lot on my mind coming up here, but oh, and a part of the whole like 3% unemployment rate and stuff. I wonder if part of that's a little bit of the algorithm, because I've been unemployed for a little bit, and I've put out a lot of resumes, and I've been a travel nurse for a long time, and it's not necessarily the nursing, because I'm kind of out of the medical field because I got back problems, but I know of a lot of the companies that I've put my resume to and haven't heard back from. So yeah, like, and I've been a jack of all trades.
Yeah, goes to talk.
So I mean, I can do secretarial position. I do have an associate's degree. I'm a personable person.
I think
So
E3 can help you with that
maybe
too.
it's kind of, I don't know, Glassdoor. Maybe it's the websites. I think maybe some of you guys need to check in to see if the algorithm is kicking a lot of people off and not getting your applicants to you on your thing. Could be. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to add something. This is nothing against Ike. I think you're going to do awesome. Okay.
I appreciate it.
But everybody is so worried about taxes, and I think maybe that should be. This is what his focus is going to be. Why would we, like, just hire another economic developer? We've already been through all this, right? Maybe it's a change, and like, why throw another person in? Okay, now you got to manage this and stuff too. If we're all worried so much about taxes, maybe, he's got enough to run. It's time for the change, and not just drop another person like in your lap. I mean, if they do, I think you'll do
Sure.
awesome.
Appreciate
But I
it.
mean, like, if we're trying to split this up and focus it, like, I don't think we drop the ball all on him again. And then it's gonna be like everything's Josh's fault. You know, like, I think the separation could be really good with Sydney moving forward, so.
No, appreciate it. No, you're good.
I'm Bill Major, and I've lived here for 6 years. I moved in from Colorado, but I was born in a small town called Nome, Alaska. And I really didn't realize what a small town is. I wanted to get back to a small town because I love living in a small town. My wife and I both. She was born in Nebraska City. And for the economic development, my comment is I live right near the museum. And we have people coming as tourists to see the museum. It's blighted. I mean, you go down 6th Street or 6th Avenue, where I live on, I wouldn't want people coming to see what's on that street. I try and keep a nice looking yard because I'm retired, I can do it, I can afford it. But I think part of our economic development is we need to be able to show people that want to live here a beautiful city. I believe that. And I don't think we live in a beautiful city. Parts of it are great, parts of it aren't. And if we're going to bring in large companies for economic development, where are we going to put the people? We don't have enough housing here, I don't think. But my opinion is I love this city. I really do. I love living here. And I try to make it as best I can. I mean, I shop here, I live here, and I want to go out feet first. I want to die here. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could
Phil?
I
Yep.
throw one more thing at you?
Yep.
I don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay, so I wanted to mention this to you guys. I don't know where we're headed with all this, but I would ask you to consider that maybe the next meeting would be with the commissioners and the other stakeholders, and give us time to try to put that together. So I think we still have a lot to discuss. It's gonna take time to figure out what we're gonna do and if we're gonna do it. But I would much rather have the other two commissioners here with me for their comments, and anybody else that should be here. I think it's important for the community to see if we're gonna be able to do something. If not, then we need to go to Plan B. Josh?
Thank you, Bill.
You got a good man here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Can I just, last thing, and then I'll shut up, I promise.
Oh, no, you're right.
I can't control property tax, and I'll never be able to control property tax. I agree there's probably areas we can reduce spending, but an easy way to affect property tax is increase sales tax. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We bring more businesses here, more people spend money, more people are going to be going out in the community, businesses are going to be operating well, and property taxes will become down because sales tax is higher, revenue is higher. So this goal of what we're trying to achieve could help alleviate that as well.
Any more comments?
I have a couple of questions. Hi, my name is Adrian. I'm the new staff writer with the Sydney Sun, and I want to ask a couple questions about the plan that I think didn't get addressed while we were all, up there talking about the property taxes, the good E3 has done, and the potential downfalls to outsourcing economic development to them. I wanted to ask a little bit about the long-term sustainability of this plan. One concern that I noted is that you said that you can, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm new to this, I might have misunderstood, but that we can FOIA for information based on them using taxpayer dollars, right? Something like that?
If the taxpayer dollars going into the company is substantially funded by the government entity, then they are susceptible to the FOIA request.
Oh.
But you have to look at how much money they're taking from the government to go into their company, and the standard is substantial.
Okay.
So I can bring you that law, so you can have that for your paper.
I would absolutely love that. But something that occurred to me when you said that is that after 5 years, you're planning on no longer having taxpayer money be funding this. So what happens after those 5 years when, if, you know, everything goes to plan and you're no longer being funded by taxpayer dollars?
It's a great question. I think there's no, to your point, there's no official governing law that's going to come and say that you can legally do this. But I will tell you right now, if we're not doing our jobs and listening to the community and giving them back what they want, then we're no longer doing our jobs. Technically, you have no accountability after it if taxpayer money isn't going to it. But we will, as long as these people are currently involved that have been part of it, we will always listen to public input and give information where it's asked for.
But all we have is your word. So it's a
I
matter
mean, I'm
of.
willing to sign a contract and whatever we need to do, but there is no, you are correct, there is no legal governing body that will be requiring that.
Okay. All right. Something I guess else I wanted to know was a little bit about, sorry, a little bit nervous. My knees are shaking.
You're doing great. You got this.
Breathe.
Okay. So again, I'm still like thinking about the long-term sustainability of this. Again, what happens after 5 years? Because, well, you said that as long as everyone is currently involved, remains involved. But that's also not something that can be guaranteed. People move on, they find other jobs, you have to hire someone else. That's kind of a problem that everyone always kind of faces, is that eventually things change, other people come. How do you ensure that even if the people change, then the service you're providing, the good you want to do, continues to be what you want to do?
It's a great, first of all, thank you for asking such thoughtful questions and for putting this story in the paper. So thank you for doing, and just getting up here is a big deal. So thank you for asking that, and it's hard to do. I can't make promises because what I'm willing to do, the only way I can make that promise is if I insist on continuing to be involved. And I'm willing to say that I won't do that. I would love to, and I would definitely throw my name in the hat. But if it's going to be a point of contention, I don't have to lead it. And so I can't guarantee that unless I'm running it. But what I can tell you, I think it's been demonstrated here, is we have some of the most amazing business owners in China. Sorry, this is where I'll get emotional, talking about the people here. We have some of the most amazing business owners in this county who have the utmost integrity. And if they're involved in this because they are the business community, it will live up to those standards. And we have bylaws and we have different rules of incorporation that we have to adhere to. That's all part of that. That will definitely include in that, but I can't guarantee it unless I'm running it, and I'm willing to take that risk.
I think that's about all my questions, but before I go, I would like to leave a statement. You all have had so many important points to make, and I would love to be able to include all of them in my paper. But I can't quote anyone unless I have your names. So for everyone who spoke up here, if you could stop and see me before you go and just tell me how to spell your name, maybe tell me a few things about yourself and why you felt compelled to come here, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Adrian, we also have taken into public record the names of everybody who have spoken today.
Okay.
And that's, of course, something that you can ask for.
Okay, cool. I didn't know for sure about that. Make sure.
Any more?
One thing, I'm Steve Pascal again, and one thing I forgot to say is, you talked about the more revenue we could bring in building but we got to learn how not to spend that revenue unless it's spent right. And, the biggest thing, I drive by the swimming pool every day. And I saw them pave the back part of that swimming pool that did not need paved, in my opinion. And nobody even uses that parking lot over 9 months out of the year. To me, that was wasteful spending. So yes, we can build the economic base, but we got to be responsible of how we spend that money. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions? No?
Can I make one last, just one last point?
Yes.
Is, we do have an off-ramp here, gentlemen, and town. We do have an off-ramp. And Sarah, thank you for your presentation and your ideas and your dedication to this town. There is nothing against that. Nothing against that. What the off-ramp is that we research how much it's gonna cost us to do this. And then give it like 2 years while you put your organization together and put your stuff together. The city can contract you to do it. That's option B. Can contact E3, you can start your funding, you can start putting your proposals together. We can swing the community towards what you want to do. Right now, the vast majority of our community is really tired of spending money and watching all kinds of deals go on. We're tired of it, and we want to have a say in it, and that's my only point. I love that we came together on this. I really, really do. And it's really nice to see you again, Phil.
Nice to see you, David.
You know, yeah.
Did anybody take your pictures of?
And that's what the community should be, right? I mean, that's what it really should be. Phil and I have argued it out all over the place, all the time over the county commissioners. But he's, you know, I still like him. I should eat. You know, I still like him. And I want to build that relationship with absolutely everybody here. The off-ramp here is to keep it the same, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, keep it the same. Give him a chance to find a good person or do a good job, and I know you'll do a good job.
I appreciate it.
No, I do. You know how I know I do a good job? Because when David Scott sat in my living room and told me, I run this city, I said, no, you don't. The people do, and I threw him out of my house, okay? And that's after he had lied to me. When I asked you, who runs this city, you said, I work for the city council, who works for the people that elect them. And that is the perfect answer. And that's what it's all about, is the people. And that the people have a mechanism to get into everything. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. And when you put corporations and stuff in there, you have a problem. So there is an off-ramp. Keep it status quo, put all your organization together, present it, and I'll help you present it to everybody with your ideas. Some of your ideas are really great, and I believe that your whole organization does great things, and it's really passionate about what it does. What my main concern is, I come from California, okay? I fought in California government for 23 years, and it was a mess. And I left that, and I went to Pennsylvania. And then I fought in Pennsylvania government for the first 10 years as people try to hide things. And that's all we want to do is keep things out in the open. But I do believe that you guys are doing that. And I do.
With your whole group, I would just like us all to take the wall down and just move forward together.
I'm agreeable to that.
You have that commitment for me. This isn't a political stance. I think the only way this community moves together is together.
Right.
That doesn't mean we have to agree.
That's right.
Because I promise you I won't.
No, and you know,
But we can be civil.
And I've sat on many board of directors, and I'm telling you, the best avenue or the best way to go is when people disagree, because then you find the best pathway forward, and you debate it. Okay, that's how you do it. Just like what you're doing here is you're debating it. But my whole overarching thing with this whole thing is a government belongs to the people, and I've seen California take that away from us, and I don't want to see that happen anywhere here. You know, and it comes down to one of my statements I did want to make here. It's about rights, right? California and what the South fought for, you know, which I don't agree with everything. But would it be right for California to come here to Nebraska and say, I want you to do something? Because California has 39 million people. Nebraska has just over 2 million. So that's called individual rights. And it doesn't make a difference. It's 80% of Sydney, 60% of Sydney, or 20% of Sydney agree with something. There's a thing called our Constitution. There's a thing called FOIA rights written into Nebraska law. There's a thing that called FOIA. When FOIA was created in the United States in 1969, it's called rights. They did it in 1969 because we had 1966 because we assassinated the president and we were in a Vietnam conflict. And so they created the FOIA laws to give people confidence back in their government. And that's all I'm saying is, to come together, you have to have confidence in your government. Transparency, right? Right. And you guys are doing it now. You're now making announcements of the city council meetings. That was great. Everything is great. Put it all out there. But people have rights. We have rights to FOIA. And when you put a corporation or something, you don't. That's my only last thing is, you have an off-ramp, everybody. The off-ramp is keep it safe for the next year. Build your organization, build your ideas, gel your organization, and then let's go from there. That's what I and thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Alicia Juliffs. I'm the Entrepreneurial Navigator for E3. I just want to close out on kind of bringing all this together. It's a lot of chaos in this room. And although it's good to disagree, I think it's important to have productive disagreements. I just want to bring back the fact that this is just simply an option. Right? This is an option that we are presenting from a community group that started out of passion. And out of that passion, they got an organization to believe in what they were doing and fund these roles. That this role did not exist prior to this organization. This was not something on my dream chart because this role is brand new to the state of Nebraska. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity to be a native to the area and being able to return is a amazing opportunity that I would have never expected to exist. I think we are now also at an opportunity to do something that never existed. And as Wendell said, it did exist. So I think although history is incredibly important, and I think research is incredibly important, and no, there is no guarantee for what E3 can do and what we can provide. What we can talk to is the facts. And the facts of what E3 has already done, and the amount of lives and businesses that we have already touched, the amount of networks that we have created through our agency, the relationships that we have built out of trust and out of showing up. And I commend the businesses that stood up and talked. We never asked for E3 to be a part of anything. We don't need a call out because truly our heart is our hearts lie in the community and our passion for the communities, not just one, all five. So let's just make sure that we're remembering that there are five communities in this county. We all matter. I'm from Potter. But I just want to make sure we're bringing it all back to, yes, this is just one opportunity. And it does take a lot of trust that we're going to do the right thing. But that Sidney Donor Advised Fund trusted us to do the right thing with their money. And not only did they do it once, they did it twice. And I think that in itself speaks volumes to what we are capable of. Not just individuals. I'm just a face behind a whole organization of people that come from a lot of different backgrounds that support me in this role. And I cannot do that without all those people that continue to show up for us, the network that we created among other counties. And I'm not discounting that whoever is in economic development can't do that. But E3 has a proven track record that we can. And so I just, again, whether we decide to move forward as your acting agency or a standalone agency, our work is not done in Cheyenne County, and we will continue to grow. This gives us the opportunity to strengthen our services and to strengthen the impact that we can have, not just in the county, but we have become a model in the state of Nebraska. So I just thank you for engaging in the conversation, inviting E3 to the table. But again, we would love to be considered as an option. And as Sarah said, our doors are open. I sit at the community college. It is definitely easier to make an appointment, but that is where we sit. And we would be open to productive conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're good. I'd like to thank everybody for coming and saying all their point of views and everything. And let's go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 2:23.